Can you guys hear me? Hey Frank, what's going on? Got people lining up here. So what I thought I'd do this morning is just let you guys sort of ask some questions on NAM or whatever you wanted to hear, and we could go from there. I didn't have a Sunday conversation in my head, but I figured we could just chat and let you guys have at me for 20 minutes, half hour here. Hey, don't worry about the Firebird. That's going to go live. I think on Thursday afternoon, I'm reposting a video of me building that Firebird. No problem on not getting a video. I cropped a couple videos. The build off with Brad is going pretty well. I glued the neck up. I filmed that. I actually sanded down the sealer, whatever they put on it. The sealer was pretty thick, so I just smoothed it. I've got some primer coming today, and we'll go ahead and prime it and get it going. I don't think it's going to be that long of a build off. Brad and I were trading some emails. I've got something up my sleeves that I haven't done before, and I'm sure he'll just use some spray paint. So we'll see. Got to talk a little trash. What else is on your guys' mind? I think the big thing I learned from NAM, just to give you guys some perspective of NAM, this is kind of why I was doing the video. If you're going to go to NAM and you're going to launch your company, I think the biggest thing is having like a huge plan and a huge budget and doing it. The big thing that I saw with Sierra Guitars is they had a launch party and PR and all of that, and they'd been to NAM a couple of times. And the guys that I had known that had just sort of showed up without a plan, it's hard to get traffic over to you if you don't have a reason to get over there. The layout of the floor was interesting. You know, they had guitars and effects and everything sort of everywhere. So if you walk the floor, it was just crazy. There was no sort of layout. It wasn't like drums was here, effects was here, pedals were here. It was sort of interwoven. So you really had to walk the floor a bunch of times to kind of get a feel of the floor and then go see what you wanted to do. I did talk to Matt. Actually, Dave, when I think the first floor walk I did in the morning on Saturday morning, I found Matt in the back corner. We talked maybe for about 10 minutes. He was doing a video with the guys from 60 Cycle as I was getting ready to leave. So I wanted to let him do that. I tried to catch up with him later and he was busy, and I had my wife with me. So I was limited in how many minutes I could actually spend on the floor. So I think I did 2 hours and I went back for another hour later in the day, just to get another sort of look. The big thing is kind of having your brand as a guitar company set up correctly. That thing is really sort of key as you're launching. I've had in the back of my head, how do I do this full time? How do I do this full time? And going there, I could just see full time is a significant dedication. So not even in just your guitars and setup, but your marketing and your PR. And that's one thing I'm really not great at. I've tried to do a ton of PR this week for the Whiskey Barrel guitars. I've contacted distilleries and online retailers and just haven't gotten really much traction. I know the summer slump is upon us. Everyone's trying to go on vacation. I'm hoping maybe when September hits, we can get some traction again. Justin's been posting a bunch of videos and stuff on Instagram of those guitars. And I'm thinking if I try and do this full time, I've got to sell 100, 200 type of guitars. And I'm not sure the market is there yet. So, I wish you could have been there in person. Winter Nam 2020. I don't know about Winter Nam. For me, getting on a plane and paying for the hotels becomes really expensive. Um, for going to Nashville was easy. I've been there a gazillion times. I knew the city, I knew the layout. Uh, I had my Marriott points, so I could use that on the hotel, which was really nice. Uh, but I've got to bring my wife, and if I bring my wife, I might have to bring the kids. And I don't know if I can swing Winter Nam. I know it's a bigger show. When I talk to Lucky Dog, I don't know if you guys know Lucky Dog Guitars. He's out of where is he? Cleveland, Tennessee. Um, he had been to Summer Nam a couple of times, and he said this year looked like attendance was way down. And another vendor I knew um, said it was down. I mean, that picture you guys I posted on uh, what was it, about noon, 1 o'clock on a Saturday, and it was kind of empty. So Winter Nam, I don't know. I may try and get Winter Nam myself. I know that's the bigger show. We'll have to see. That's when everyone sort of launches their products for the year. I don't know yet. We'll see. Oh, I did not know that, Vanilla. I'll have to shoot him a note. He didn't tell me that. All right. So what's the plan for the build off? The plan is to surprise Brad with something no one has seen me do before. Uh, I've been playing with a bunch of different painting techniques. I found one that looks really cool. Um, like I said, I'm waiting for some white primer to show up today. And I actually haven't seen this technique done on a guitar. Seen it done on a bunch of different things. So the build off is going to go as planned. It won't take us all that long to do this. I think that was the one cool thing as we were trading emails. The neck is glued on. It doesn't need a whole ton of work. Um, prime it, paint it, or whatever. I don't think Brad's going to stain it. I don't think that's in his. That's not in him. And since it was already sealed, I couldn't really stain it or burn it or do anything kind of crazy. I thought about burning it and doing some sort of fractal-ish type of thing with my sort of soldering iron and do a design, but the other thing I have is a little bit quicker and easier. So the Sure Drips, is that sort of like a pastel? I haven't seen that. Let me see the Sure Drips. That looks like a swirl. Yeah, that looks like a swirl. I have done that. I'll tell you the swirls are actually a huge pain in the ass to do. I've tried and tried and tried with 1,000 different paints. Um, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get the swirl right, and even um, I don't know. I've got this. Whoa. All right, so here is a failed swirl from years ago. This is Corinna Strat. I dipped it. For some reason, it didn't sit right. The paint sort of started to run. I think I had too much paint in the water. This was, I think, the one-shot paints. So I was aggravated, and I dipped it again, and then it looked awesome. And I cannot afford to screw up with Brad. I think I kind of have an idea of what he's going to do based on some of the stuff he's done in the past. And so I'm trying to pivot and do something different. So it's my risk on the finish of that guitar. I'm not 100% sure if I did a swirl, it would look right. So that's the swirl that looked right, because as you dip through, the paint thinned out, and that looks right, and you can see how much it ran. So the swirls are finicky, but I think this one does look pretty awesome. My son, every time he sees this guitar, says, "That's my guitar. It's my guitar." So that's a swirl. All right, so I guess I don't need my headphones now that I don't know if you can hear me through the camera or if the mic is using through the headphones. I'm not 100% sure. So I haven't showed you guys this. Once I did the retop, whatever this is called, the paisley fabric, I had a guy from Well Hung Guitars reach out to me and he said, "Hey, if you get me a piece of fabric, I will get you a strap made from that fabric." And I could not pass up on that. So the guys at Well Hung made this strap. I think I paid 119. He's in Canada. I think it was 149 for Canada and 119 for me. Sometimes I love those exchange rates. It's a nice 3-inch strap, and it's pretty awesome. So I'm really, really happy with this guitar. I've got to make that other neck. I've got a roasted piece of maple that I'm going to do. I just got like a gazillion projects I'm working on, but I had to show you guys this strap. The strap was pretty cool. What other comments we got? The Dragon's Breath. That Paul Reed Smith Dragon's Breath I'm refinishing. Man, I get stuck on projects sometimes and I just want to smash that guitar. I sprayed it. It's got the first coat of color on it. It's got the clear on the top, but I've got to do some sanding and spraying, and those guitars drive me nuts. The restores that I've done, for some reason, always end up taking just way too much time. So I've got the coats on. I've got to put one more clear, and I'll be able to reassemble that Paul Reed Smith. I know I'm trying not to be like Tavares. I don't know if you guys seen his Lamborghini build video where he almost took 9 months to build it, and I think I'm at that mark now with that Paul Reed Smith. But I always get a lot of other projects coming up, and it's just killing me. It's killing me. Here's a question. How is it working with torrefied maple? What are the absolute requirements to start from scratch building? All right, so we'll talk about torrefied maple first. I love torrefied maple. It is really outstanding. The smell on those, on the wood is awesome. You can put an oil finish on it, and the wood is already hard, and you don't really need to do anything to it. So I've played with torrefied maple a bunch of times now. This is my torrefied maple Chicago Skyline guitar. I don't know if you guys can see that. Really simple and easy to do. This is true oil finish again, and that finish just goes on this really nice. I just don't get the credit I need with this guitar. Being from Chicago and born in Chicago, I thought I would get more people to like this and I could actually sell this. And I don't know why the city of Chicago doesn't like it. But that's awesome. I mean, really, this is probably one of my most frustrating guitars. I love this look. P90s, I've got that P90 look. And then I've got that flame maple neck. Thing is awesome. But this torrefied maple, back to that, it finishes really nice. I love the oil finish on it. You don't need to stain it or anything, so it's a really cool wood to use. All right, Dave, another question. What are the absolute requirements to start from scratch building? I haven't done a video on this, and I know I should. I think the big thing, if you're starting from scratch, is to have patience and set expectations of what you can and can't do. You need a bandsaw and a table router. and you can start building bodies. That's how I started doing this 20 years ago. Is I had that Stanley pin router that I was lucky enough to find from a guy in Elgin, Illinois. Picked it up, and that's kind of the centerpiece of my shop. I did have that really huge pin router. I think my first or second video on YouTube is me using that big pin router. What was it? It wasn't a R9. I can't remember what it was, but that big pin router was awesome. But now that I've been doing this for so long, I go back to my Craftsman 10-inch bandsaw and my Craftsman table router, and I use that all the time. If you guys watch, I know all of you guys watch my videos. That's what I'm using the most to build a body. If you get into neck building, obviously you need more tools. But if you just start with a Craftsman bandsaw and a table router, you can crank out as many bodies as you want. You can build your own templates. You need some drills, obviously, some drill bit sets, a router, top bearing bit. And then I use those big shear bits for cutting the side. You can hand sand and you can do a round over. It's just awesome. Raven Gaming, why do you look like a cross between a sloth and a piece of poop? Do I have autism? No, man. You should go to another channel. I think I'm going to kick you out here. All right. Dude's out. All right. Neck building is way more fun to me. The wood choice is more important. Yeah, for sure. Building a neck requires a ton of skill, and it's just one of those things you've got to do. When you got to pick the woods right, you got to pick the feel right. You got to kind of just get into it with neck building. It took me 100 bodies to get to a neck, I think, at one point. I had a dealer that was buying bodies out in Cleveland, and he just wanted the body with the top wood. And I think I did about 100 bodies for him many years ago. And I wasn't doing necks, and I finally got into doing the necks. Oh, man, another Firebird. I want to do a Firebird. I actually got the template out downstairs, and I'm looking at it. Router table or shaper? I had a shaper. I bought a Grizzly shaper at one point. I don't think I did any videos. I don't think I was into YouTube yet at that point. I bought a shaper, and I bought that Helix cutter, the big cutter that floats around with those bits. And I took the guitar body up to that and went whoop, and I immediately sold that guitar or that shaper to a guy at the wood shop I was working at. I was not going to do the shaping with that. I know Gibson and a couple other folks do that, but it was just scary as hell, and I did not like that feel. I didn't feel like I had control. All right. What else? What other questions? Request a song. No, I'm not playing today. You guys don't want to hear my terrible playing. I know that for a fact. If you want to go request a song, Justin's the man. Reverse Firebird, traditional neck through style. I don't know. I only can build Firebirds neck through because they're a beast, and then it feels like you've got like a weapon or an axe you can whack people with. Let's see. Brian, how about building some more hollow bodies? I love hollow bodies. I just haven't gotten there. I got that template and that new construction technique I made where I build the box and then put the block in the center. I don't think I actually have any of those guitars. No, I don't. No, I do have the walnut telly. All right, so this is the new construction technique telly, and I've got 2 pieces of walnut and a piece up here and a piece down here, and then a little block. And this thing sounds awesome. I am surprised I haven't sold this guitar yet. $1,200. It's got one little scratch there and a little indentation right there when it fell off my bench. But this thing, oh, it's missing a string. I don't know what happened. This thing sounds awesome. I love building hollow bodies out of this technique. I feel like I save a bunch of wood, um, and I don't have all that routing. So this technique works really well. I am building a 335. Just haven't gotten there yet. Like I said, I got a gazillion projects, and that one, if you've seen in my video, it's sitting in the back. I've got all the wood thinned out. I just need to get to it. All right, so we'll go back to the questions here. Yeah, NAF Customs, stay away from the Shaper Man. That is terrible. How to avoid deep scratches on end grain. I use a spindle sander to remove excess material before routing as close to the template as I can. Sometimes I create, you gotta go up in sandpaper. So step up in sandpaper, start it. Really, you never want to start with like 60 or 120 grit. You want to get it as smooth as you can off the router. And then usually if you're routing off a template with those shear bits, those big 2-inch shear bits like you see in most of my videos, you should only have to take like 180 grit to that, and you shouldn't get those large scratches. So don't do like 80 grit on end grain. It takes forever to get that out. Make sure you're using the router with the tall bit, and then from there you can use like 120, 180 grit sandpaper. That's how I don't have a lot of scratches. Don't use heavy grit like 80 grit, 60 grit on the end grain. It's a really huge pain. V, what's up, buddy? How are you? I see you join here. Vanilla Grill. The reason I sold the Firebird and never bonded with those mini humbuckers. Those mini humbuckers were terrible. In the video, I posted a comment that I should have never used those stupid GFS humbuckers. The guitar was so beautiful. Meme dude. No, you can do whatever you want. When do I call a build good enough to sell? Depends on the price that you're selling, Dave. I think the big thing is when I'm working on the Jack Daniels guitars, and I don't have any of them up here. I have one downstairs. I sweat. I sweat on that. It's $3,000, and if I'm going to spend $3,000, which I spend $3,000 all the time, what do I think about the guitar? And if I'm buying that guitar, why is this better than another $3,000 guitar? So my recent acquisition was this. A Fender 25th anniversary edition. Let's see, 1954 to 1979. It's like a bronze, silver. I paid $1,800 for it. It was a sort of a splurge for me. I found it at my Guitar Center in Nashville and had it shipped up here. If you guys go to Nashville, there's a Guitar Center just south of downtown Nashville. It's actually really good. I really, really like that store. The guys are really awesome in there, and they got me that, and so I'm happy with that guitar. But for me, I know it's good enough to sell when my terrible playing actually sounds good. That's the other thing, Dave. When I sell parts and bodies, you know, it's not a big deal, but for the full guitars, you just got to put yourselves in the shoes of the buyer. Are you going to be comfortable spending $1,800 on this? And are you going to sort of put your reputation on the line? That's why a lot of times when I do guitars, full refund, no questions asked. If you're not happy, I'm not going to dick around with you guys. If you don't like the guitar, no problem. That's how I sort of get past that, Dave, when I started building. And then with the Jack Daniels guitars and some of the other guitars I've got, I haven't had really anybody disappointed in them, which was sort of a surprise to some degree. Because when you spend that much money, someone's always complaining about it. But yeah, make sure you have that sort of return policy, and you should get over any of those misconceptions about you being a builder. You got to just try it. I started selling guitars to buddies and friends, $400 or $500, which was cost. And then as I got better and better, I got more guitars out there. I just continued to include my trying to read questions here and answer. But as I did more, Dave, that's how I felt more comfortable. I think doing bodies is not a big deal, but when you're doing the full guitars, it becomes a little bit of an issue. All right, that was Dave's question. I have tried to use the big spiral bits, but no matter how close I get my cut, the wood ends up getting caught in the bit and ruined. What do you mean, Bandit Keith? Expand on that. I don't know what you're doing. Brian Keithley, when are you gonna do some more dyeing? I have a guitar I'm working on right now that I'm doing it. Um, First perfect build. That's awesome. I have not gotten there. Brian, have you tried the Solaris products? No, I actually haven't bought their product. I needed the lights to do some aging on the guitars, but I haven't actually used that finish. Star Force, no, we are not requesting a song. Um, Not ready to sell. Okay, buddy, keep selling. Any tips on running plastic pickguards? I'm having kickback at narrow shapes like bass. I actually haven't made a whole ton of pickguards. That is not my thing. I do know what the plastic ring can get a little bit funky as you're routing plastic. The plastic could stick to that bit, which causes some issues. I would also then make sure you're double stick taping the pickguard to the piece of wood or whatever on those long, narrow runs. So if you got a long, narrow run on a piece of wood and it's kicking back, make sure everything is trimmed as close as you can. So make sure everything is trimmed as close as you can and it's stuck down, and you shouldn't get that much kickback. Yeah, try that. Mark, what's going on, buddy? I'm actually working on your tally right now. That's what I was doing right before this. I'm still slightly sticky. That's sitting out in the garage. All right, 27 minutes. What else you guys got? I got 30 of you in here, 8 thumbs up. We had 2 or 3 trolls. Thinking maybe we'll do this every once a month. Maybe I need Terry to do some moderating so I can read. I didn't really have an agenda, which I think was a failure on my part here. I thought as we got started, we'd have more stuff going. I know the beginning of this video is definitely awkward, so I'll learn. All right, the bit grabs the wood and either tears out and launches the wood. If it happens, I'll use a big flush trim, but if I use a combination panner bit, small flush, I won't. How much are you leaving between the template and the piece of wood? I mean, you really want to have like a minimal amount of wood, Keith. Really? Huh? What kind of wood? Is it end grain or is it sort of the side piece? Hold on, Mark. I'll get to your question in 1 second. No matter where entries submit to the wood. Oh, that's weird, man. Send me some pictures to my email, and I'll take it offline and I'll work with you. A couple other questions came in here, but send me a note, dude, and I'll definitely help you out. All right, this was a great idea. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. Hey, man, I love doing this for you guys. I've made so many mistakes over the years that I needed to do this to just sort of make sure you guys didn't hurt yourself or waste all your time and money. And I sit at a computer all day. So for me, I need an outlet, and the guitar building is definitely my outlet. Really enjoy doing this and interacting with you guys. It's much better than getting yelled at by my kids. Best not yet known builder you saw at NAMM. All right. I saw a lot of builders at NAMM, and to be honest, I wasn't looking at the guitars as a way of buying. I looked at kind of presentation and PR and what are they doing. My favorite guitars are actually exotic guitars out of California. Those are the guys that do the aged bodies with the roasted maple necks. Those are my favorite guitars. I love that look and vibe. I think they're underrepresented in the market. I think that design and that look is awesome. Those are my favorite guitars today. I've actually reached out to them to say, hey, I'll do a free video if you just send me a guitar to play with for a while. One of my buddies had one. I was like, these are really nice guitars. I like those. I really like those guitars. Some of the custom builders that I saw are just way priced out of the market. I don't understand guitar pricing. My full-time job, I'm a pricing director at a company, and I know pricing pretty well. And when you're charging 7, 8, 9 grand for a guitar that's not an acoustic, I don't understand that. Putting that time and effort in an acoustic, I understand that price point, but for a solid body electric guitar, I don't get it. I just don't. I think this is going back to Dave's question, when you can sell it. I think for me, the way I've priced my guitars, I do it as an outlet, and so I just want to sort of recover my costs. And then I got lucky and had a product with the Whiskey Barrel guitars. But I don't know how guys charge 6, 7, 8 grand for a Strat copy or a Tele copy. It doesn't make any sense. I understand a little bit more with some of the Les Paul stuff, because that requires a significant amount of skill to get right. But I don't understand some of the price points. All right. Whoa, a ton of questions. Are kits the way to go when you are starting out? All right, here's John. The solo music kits that we're using for this build-off between Brad and I are actually really good. Oh, excuse me. Are really good kits. I've done Albatross kits. I think the bass guitar I made years ago was an Albatross kit. I don't like kits, so I always built my own bodies, and I wanted to learn the woodworking. My grandfather was a woodworker. I had all the tools, so for me, I traded up my base set of tools to a bigger set of tools, and I actually like doing the woodworking. So for me, I wanted to actually build it myself. For if you guys want to just put together a guitar, the kits are a great way to go. For me, I actually wanted to physically build the guitar out of the pieces of wood that I had and sort of make it and shape it myself. I built models as a kid, and guitars were just the extension of that for me. All right, Max, I am from Europe. Any ideas on replace fillers and materials? We don't have anything you have in the States. Check out Guitars and Woods in Portugal. He's got a bunch of different stuff. He might actually have something you need. Black Diamond, keep up the work. Keep up the videos. Thanks, Black Diamond. I appreciate that. I took a little bit of a break, and I'm getting back into. I haven't seen Scala guitars, vanilla. I'll take a look at that. Yeah, the kits are hit and miss, Dave. You're right. That's why I think Albatross and Solar are pretty nice. What else we got? Holy Grail. Yes, I've actually done a ton of work on the Holy Grail guitar bodies. He makes some awesome stuff. I've stained 4 of them in some of my videos. I love working on. He's got Holy Grail gets wood from some of the same places that I do, and he uses a lot of Eastern hard rock stuff, and that wood stains really nicely. So I've done, I think, 4. And they're always really nice. I love those guitar bodies. He's got a good process and system. I've actually taken bodies straight and stained them. I didn't have to do them out of standing. What is the best way to dye maple top and troil the back without bleeding between those? Brian Keithley. Hey, Brian, you got to put that mist coat on. So when I stain, and I need to do a full video on this so you guys hear it, I put the stain down. I lock in the color with a sanding sealer, let that dry, and then I don't have the stain bleeding through. So I feel your pain there. You got to get that sanding sealer to lock in the coat. Warmoth parts are top notch. Yes, they are, Dave. Warmoth is my go-to. I always search their bargain bin because at that price point, even I can't do it. Some seem to be more jewelry, wall hangers, and a player. You build players that look good. Thanks, Mark. I always want to build player guitars. I don't like jewelry guitars. That's one of the problems I have with Paul Reed Smith and their finish on that Paul Reed Smith project I'm working on. You could not actually repair the guitar. What I got, I thought I could repair with that super glue. That was not going to happen based on the dye that they used. And then I ended up having to sand it off. And I was like, how could you not be able to repair the finish of a guitar? Which drove me nuts. Would polyurethane grain, filler, water-based sand, oil wax make a great finish? Should. Polyurethane grain filler plus water-based stain. I mean, you can put a water-based stain and then an oil over that, and you shouldn't have a lift. Or you could put a thinner-based stain and then water-based over that. You shouldn't have any issues. No kits, all from scratch is the way to go. Yep. What's up, Brazil? The Northern Lights telly I built was a Holy Grail body. I'll take a look at that. I've got that Holy Grail or that Northern Lights guitar downstairs. I haven't done it. Thanks, dropped in on the main site. No, John, I haven't tried that Solar's stuff. I bought the lights to age. I didn't buy the lights to use that finish. I just haven't gotten there. Jeff Matt, I'd like to take close to a pound of weight off an Alder Strat body copy. Do you think this will take a bathtub route and drill a couple holes on the bottom horn? Would you do that? To lighten up a Strat. All right. So if I was going to lighten up a Strat, I would definitely not swimming pool route that. I would drill a couple of holes here and widen off that cavity. I think when you miss some of that string action between you, or when you miss some of that weight between here, I don't like that feel. You could do is you could lighten it up back on this side as well. But I usually try and not remove anything from the center core here. I don't like doing that. I hope that helps, Jeff. I don't know if that would even take off a pound. But I think if you lighten up along this section and increase the size of that route, I think that would help. It also depends on how you want to do that. We're at almost 40 minutes. I don't know if you guys got another question or two, but I'm going to probably call it here before the kids bounce in here and take me over here. It's Sunday at 10:40 here, Chicago time. I think we'll do this once a month. I'll actually have an agenda next time, so the start of the video doesn't go off so bumpy. I was hoping to get some more questions on NAMM. I think the 4 guys that pinged me didn't get on on the stream here, so I apologize. I think I'm going to try Solars. Yeah, I probably should buy it considering I spent $600 on the light kits I have in the basement. I've got a disaster build I'm finishing that I will do a full video on for Kevin Bond. We're working on a gold top that became a disaster, and I've got a full lessons learned video for you guys on that in terms of how to not lose a client and fix a guitar all at the same time. The light booths. The booth at NAMM. The booths at NAMM actually aren't all that expensive. I looked before I went, but if you want to do it right, you need a bigger booth. You can't do the little booth that they give you. The smallest booth is like $750, and to get some of the bigger booths, you need $2,000. I like the bigger booths. All right. You can put in the sunlight in secured minutes. I needed the light kits to age wood, not for the finish. My telly is the age telly I did is in the back. I need to pull off the pick guard and show you guys the huge difference in how it looks aged. I'll do that in the next live stream. That light kit in terms of aging wood is amazing. So Todd, yeah, sorry about that stream. I think I false started a couple months ago when I was going to do a stream, and I've been watching guys doing streams. Do I like relic guitars? Yes and no. I did the relic of that poly telly because I wanted a project to work on in the dead of winter, and I was sick of sort of building stuff. I kind of like relics, to be quite honest, in the sense that I don't like perfectly pretty guitars. I mean, hell, this is the ultimate relic, guys. A guitar that sat in, I don't know, what was it? A Nash or North Carolina house for, I don't know, 10, 20 years. This thing is awesome. So I love relic guitars. I love that look. That's like I was saying earlier. Exotic guitars are my exotic guitars are one of my favorites. I know there's a lot of guys that don't like that. It's personal taste. I love older guitars versus brand newer guitars. I have 3 kids and everything gets ruined and broken anyway. So I'm not a big fan of um, like perfect stuff of any sort. My house is trashed. There's holes uh, in the wall in some spots from the kids running into it. And until they get slightly older, just, that saying where this is why we can't have nice things. Well, I've learned that now as I've gotten older. All right, one last question. Yeah, the Strat, I need to put it away, but the kids know. I'm trying to get the kids to play guitars now. They're old enough to the point where they should be able to take lessons, and they're not there. I think I'm the only builder whose kids don't actually want to take lessons, and I could build them whatever they want. It's kind of funny. Uh, Rob, how do you deal with black duplicolor automotive body spray black blushing? It has been a humid summer in Chicago. Any tips? Um, Spray in the morning or in the evening. Don't spray midday. Uh, Wait a little bit longer for the stuff to cure, and then add a little bit of thinner if you can, so that it dries a little bit slower. That would be my tips. I'm not the spray guy, but I know I've learned that from Chicago humid summers is do stuff in the morning or the evening, and then make sure you've got as clean of a shop as you can, and sometimes the thinner helps. All right, guys, we're at 45 minutes, 43:20. Like I said, this was actually pretty good outside of the 2 trolls. We had, I think, maybe 40 people join at the most. A lot of you guys, I know from all your comments that you leave, I love it and appreciate it. Thank you for all the feedback. And I've got the Firebird build coming on Thursday. That's a repost of a compiled video. I'm trying to become a little bit more artistic and hoping to get to a little bit wider of an audience. I've got some dive videos coming. I know everyone's asking. That's my specialty. I haven't done one in a while. That's it. Thanks for joining me, guys. We'll see if this gets any views. And we'll probably do one once a month. I appreciate your time and effort, and we'll talk later, guys. And next time we will have a better start with an agenda. All right, see ya.